only wins in Formula E.
Well, welcome along everybody to this Formula E watch along. It's been a little while without some Formula E action. Missed it actually because qualifying threw up plenty of surprises. We've got quite an interesting grid ready to go in Berlin. It's the first of a double header, so that's going to be even more fun because the stuff that the teams learn today they'll be able to take tomorrow, but the track will be run in the opposite direction. They do a reverse layout of Berlin, I believe. Well, that's what they did last year. I think they did it the year before. So I'm assuming they're going to do the same again, but never safe to assume anything in motorsport. So, Jaguar Power is at the front again, as it was in Sao Paulo, where they actually took first, second and third on the podium. Sebastian Buemi has pole position, and Sam Bird is alongside him. And both of those drivers are kind of on the outside of the title chase. And crucially, there's a big opportunity for several drivers today to get some points on Pascal Wehrlein, the championship leader. Obviously, Buemi and Bird at the front can take a huge amount of points out of the Germans' advantage on them. But Wehrlein starts in 15th. He really did not get qualifying together on home soil. And it didn't work out at all for Porsche because they are 15th and 19th. So there's a big chance for Jake Dennis, Nick Cassidy, and as I said, Buemi and Bird to get a real chunk of points on the championship leader. Da Costa is 19th, so he's got a lot of work to do. But in qualifying, they were talking about the guys in the pit lane, so like the team bosses and people like that were talking about Porsche still having the race pace to come through and potentially win the race, which I think would be even a bit of a stretch considering what they achieved at the start of the season with Dennis and Wehrlein coming through from the mid-pack in Diriyah. But Dennis starts P5 and he really needs some points because he hasn't scored in any of the last three races. He's literally got a 50% scoring ratio. He won and then finished second in the two races in Diriyah after winning the Mexico E-Prix at the start of the season, but hasn't scored in Hyderabad, Cape Town, or in Sao Paulo. So, a really good opportunity for the Andretti Avalanche driver to get some points. Nick Cassidy, he was beaten in the quarterfinal duel by his own teammate who's ended up on pole position, and that's not really particularly helpful for his title challenge. He's third in the standings, but sixth on the grid. If I can get my words out, Stoffel van Dorn, pole sitter in Sao Paulo. He's P3 on the grid for DS Penske. Jev is 10th, I believe. So a bit of a split there. But Stoffel looks like he's back on it, especially having performed well in Sao Paulo at least. The one lap pace seems to be quite good for the DS, but its race pace seems to be lacking. That's where Jaguar and especially Porsche power are really coming to the fore. So wait and see how they fare in the race. Dan Ticktum in the Neo 333 car, I think really the standout performer in qualifying. He starts 4th. And also, race pace isn't particularly good for the Neo team, but is a podium potentially on the cards if he can sit there in the slipstream and save energy, because that's what the drivers have been saying is going to be critical to this race. That slipstream is going to help them save energy, and that they will then be able to potentially attack later on. I'm going to get the chat ready on my OBS, and then I'm going to put a poll in the chat for you to get involved with. So pick your winner. Who is going to win the Berlin E-Prix? Is it going to be pole sitter Sebastian Buemi? But remember, pole isn't what it's all cracked up to be in Formula E, because pole sitters don't win in Formula E. It's almost as simple as that. Don't get pole position. But Buemi has broken the record, well, he at least takes the record on his own now for most poles in Formula E. Will it be Sam Bird, who starts 2nd on the grid, or Van Dorn? And then we'll throw in other and tell me who. And we're going to stick that in the chat. So throw your vote in there. Don't think we've got live timing just yet, so I won't switch to that scene just yet, but we'll switch to the scene with the chat, get a little bit of conversation going. Alright, let's just have a look at Mitch Evans having a conversation with Nicky Shields. Obviously the previous race winner. So it's going to be an interesting race. We've got a grid of with a mixture of drivers who have something to go for at the front, and we have a mixture of we've got drivers who are in a certain position where they need to protect their advantage, so everyone's got to go for it. And I'm quite excited for it.
Berlin never ever disappoints. I mean, it is a unique circuit. Some drivers like it, like we said.
Just going to check my audio, just make sure it's not too loud for you all. But also good for you to hear the commentary as well. We are just a few minutes away from the Berlin E-Prix. They're about to get going. I'm going to get myself a drink. I'll be back in a moment.
We are back in Berlin. The race stage is set at Tempelhof Airport. Are you ready to be electrified? As we approach the halfway point of season 9. Boys, what have we just done? just a couple of minutes before the racing gets underway in Berlin. The grandstands are packed and the front row of the grid is set. The championship leader, Pascal Wehrlein, all the way back in 15th spot. The front row.
Okay, just under 5 minutes to go until the race start, at least on my YouTube stream of the race. On my preview on my other screen, I have not returned from the kitchen yet. Shows you just how far behind it is. Of course, get your vote in the chat for the race winner. If you're new to the channel, you can check out a few of my other videos. So this week, what did I have come out? So yesterday I had a little reaction piece to James Allison returning as technical director for Mercedes. A little something about the new F1 record that F1 2023 season has set, and a little video on why Fernando Alonso's ambitions for a third championship will be tricky. And I also rated every team's season start. So there's plenty of videos for you to go and find on the channel. Leave a like on the stream if you enjoy some Formula E content. I've got a Formula E podcast or episode with Tom Horrocks, which you can also find on YouTube. You can download it on any good podcast app. But that's enough of what I've already done. Here's what's about to happen. We've got round 7 of the Formula E season. Got overtaking opportunities into turn 6. Turn 4 if you're really feeling brave. Perhaps into turn 1. Definitely into turn 9 as well. So it's going to be a good fun race, I think. Lots of action. Maybe some collisions. We know how these drivers like to be very feisty from time to time. So we're going through the grid now. You can probably hear the dulcet tones of Jack Nicholls and Alan McNish. And this is what I've thoroughly enjoyed about Formula E. It's so widely unpredictable. We've got drivers who have had race wins starting way down the order. We've got pole sitters in Jake Hughes, well in the mid-pack. Mitch Evans, who won the last race, is 9th. And then ahead of them, you've got Sergio Sette Carama and Max Gunther, who've had pretty up and down seasons. Dennis and Cassidy, potential title contenders on the 3rd row. Van Dorn and Tickton, nothing to lose at the moment. They're on the 2nd row. And championship outsiders Buemi and Bird are at the front. Alright, we are moments away from the start. Okay, I'm going to turn up the volume on my stream. And we're going to get ready to race. I watched the IndyCar race in Long Beach last week, and that was thoroughly brilliant. Let's hope for something similar this weekend, because Formula One have left us with this massive, huge gap and dearth of almost racing action. But IndyCar and Formula E are filling the void in Formula One's absence and also lack of front-loaded competition, let's say. Alright, the cars are moving into position. Buemi starts on the inside, pole position on the left-hand side of the track. So he will just hold his line, I'd guess, and then be able to force Sam Bird to the outside. Green flag at the back. We are ready for an E-Prix. as the smoke clears towards the back of the grid. 40 laps. We've got 3, 4, 5 lights and go in Berlin. Slow start from Cassidy. He's being swallowed up. And look at Dan Tinctum down the outside. Can the Briton go into the lead? He's just nosing ahead. Dan Tinctum takes the lead. What a start. Incredible start from the former F2 driver. Bird has stayed behind Buemi. Dennis has lost a position as well, but Dan Tinctum for Neo 333 leads the E-Prix. Dennis defending from Cassidy. Is there, oh, that looked like there was going to be contact. That looked like possibly Da Costa. Tinctum isn't bothered about conserving energy, it would seem. He just wants to be in the lead. And he's pulling away from Buemi. On board with Verline, he's actually behind Nico Muller. So he's lost a position. Mortaro moves up a place ahead of Verne, who's had a terrible start. He started 10th, he's now 14th. Tinctum leads them over the line for the first time.
Straight away after the first corner, but saying that, you're right, Sebastian Buemi basically has to sit there quite close to Dan Tinctum, not close enough if there's a problem, he gets caught up with it.
This goes back to what I said earlier, the guys are mentioning in the commentary, the slipstream and conserving energy, but Tinctum is gapping Buemi a little bit. They've told him to look after the energy. It's a long race. Bird right up behind Buemi. Let's have a look at the start from the high angle. Oh, it's Van Dorn who he backed out of it, completely backed out of it. That was strange. I mean, that tells you exactly what the drivers want to be doing. But that could have been, you know, oh, if there was another car right behind him, that could have been quite a scary position to be in. We saw at this very track a couple of years ago, Mitch Evans didn't move off the line, and Bird has taken the lead. Tinctum has gone for attack mode, and so has Buemi. But we saw Edo Mortara hit Mitch Evans on the start line a couple of years ago. So that sort of situation can be dangerous. But a minute of attack mode taken by Tinctum and Buemi and Van Dorn.
Very rare to see drivers go straight through it, and I think that's what sort of caught us all a bit by surprise that they went that early.
Yeah, especially drivers at the front, because you don't always want to be the first, as you see a replay of it here. The first two following through, and that leaves Sam Bird in the lead, and then Stoffel Van Dorn as well. And Sebastian Buemi gets crushed against the wall there. Gets squeezed a little bit, so has to lift out of it. And that's why he's still sitting back behind the Maserati Gunther.
So yeah, there is Max Gunther in the blue Maserati MSG car.
There goes Bird, and Gunther's going to follow him for attack mode.
They're kind of using this as, oh, that's going to be tight.
Tight between Dennis and Bird, and Bird has stayed ahead. Looks like are they going to try and just use attack mode as early as possible? Or oh, there's Mitch Evans down the inside on Sete camera. Did he get the move done? They're still side by side. And he does get the move done, Mitch Evans.
However, the next one's obviously going to be a slightly longer one as well for Dan Tinctum. That'll be a 3-minute run for him. So in that respect, when you're doing it, you're also using...
Okay, we can probably get some live timing up
So Ticton wants to
now,
push,
and
get a
we
gap
can switch.
in attack mode, so then he can just
Obviously, to get the gap, he's going to use up so much energy, and
So
then he'll
let's
to be able to actually step
get
out into a good position. If not, he gets caught in the mix
that
of everybody
ready
else.
to go. There we go.
But he's going for it.
Okay, back to the action. More attack mode being taken. Ticton and Boemi. 3 minutes. Yeah, they want to get rid of it immediately. How bizarre.
coming into turn 7 and gets that made. So Bird is now in the lead. Jake Dennis has used neither attack mode, and it's up into second.
But Dennis hasn't used attack mode. There's Van Dorn, I think, at the inside of Gunther. And Evans is alongside Cassidy. What's Verline doing? He's still only 14th. DeCosta's up to 16th. Andre Lotterer is a big mover. He's up to 10th.
It's just a queue of cars coming out of the final corner. Bird leading down towards turn 1. Jake Dennis is second, but Dennis is yet to activate an attack mode. Ticton and Boemi behind are in attack mode, and it's their second attack mode.
And just looking a little bit further down here, Stoffel Van Dorn. And this is the overtake into the hairpin, so he'll dive down the inside of the Maserati ahead of him. Just ekes it. It's very nicely done. Just basically breaks alongside the Maserati. Doesn't give him any option except to lift off and lose him in place.
There is the DS Penske crew. There's the Maserati.
That was a nice move by Van Dorn to get past Gunther. Bird and Dennis now take attack mode.
So they wanted to do whatever Sam
They've asked him to shadow Sam Bird.
middle of the pack now.
So maybe they think that Bird is the driver in the pound seat. Here comes Dennis as Gunther moves very late there, but successfully defends the position.
The previous lap with Van Dorn didn't want it to happen again. However, that's lost Dennis.
Learned his lesson from his battle with Van Dorn. Vern has dropped down a couple of places. What's happened to him? He's there on the outside of Mortara.
Definitely has to get past Gunther as soon as
There goes Jake Dennis. He's up the inside of Gunther.
Jake Dennis, and he is through up into 5th position.
And this just massive crocodile of cars. You wouldn't see this in any other form of racing,
Is
especially at an elite level.
move.
And just a little update, championship leader Pascal Wehrlein still down in 14th position at this moment. Hasn't really moved. He started 15th. He's made one place, but not too much from there. Oh, big dive down into the hairpin. That's one of the Maseratis just sliding.
That looks like it's Mortara going up the inside of Evans into turn 9.
So that's an overtake. Here's a replay.
So turn
Dennis, this is how he got the move
6 possible.
on Max Gunther.
Let me just...
Basically didn't fight that when he fought it into the hairpin. But
Yeah, it's turn 6. It's the hairpin, isn't it? I was looking at my track map.
and lifted and let it happen.
That's Roger Griffiths, the team principal of Avalanche Andretti. Ticton in
Fascinating that they've gone for the attack mode so early.
fascinating E-Prix unfolding here in
And
Berlin.
there's a parrot in the commentary box there. Jack Nicholls repeating that it is a fascinating race.
Except Van Dorn are in their second attack.
So that's Dennis being told our strategy.
And they're just constantly side by side. Look at it. Almost 3 abreast. Evans almost banging into
On a bit of a mission
uh,
round the outside.
someone there. Not sure who it was.
He tries to get set a camera. That's a tight one.
It's all... Look at this.
He's absolutely flying up through the order here as they come
It is Vern, actually, isn't it?
and he's now up into 8th place.
I'm trying to under-consume, but I'm only under-consuming a bit. I'm sure they're under-consuming more than I am.
Yeah, I think that's probably a fair thing under consuming.
Oh, we almost got contact. That was Vern sending it, and I think
3 wide out of their hairpin coming in towards
it's just all chaos. Cassidy went for attack mode.
get out as they flick
No idea where to look in all of this. There goes Van Dorn. Bird is now second.
to 3rd position ahead of Sebastian Buemi, and he is now
Van Dorn gets ahead of Boemi. So the Envision driver falling back. The pole sitter drops to 4th.
Sam Bird looks very, very good in the brakes. I've seen it for the last 2 or 3 laps, but at the same time,
And here goes Sam Bird. He's going for the lead.
lead going down the inside. And I think everybody is looking.
And Tictum allows it.
If you look at the driver's mind, Dennis was told
The Jaguar driver takes the lead for the first time in the race, for the second time in the race, but the first time on pure merit.
well, he's not now, yeah.
but at the same
Da Costa moves up to 15th ahead of Rene Rast. The McLaren's not quite on their usual pace. Maserati are having a good race so far. Gunther 6th, Mortara 7th. Van Dorn now moves up into 2nd position. And the Maseratis are very close. Was there contact? Might get a replay of that. Is there a little bit of damage there? Yes, there is. There's a front wing. It's Gunther. He's got a wonky front wing. That'll have to come into the pits, I'm sure. Mortara is flying. He's up into 5th, and we've got more contact. That's Sete Camera. And that might even be a safety car, the amount of debris. Oh, he's almost losing it on the straights. Here comes Verline. We're on board with him. He gets past Cassidy, whose race is completely falling apart. And Verline steals a couple of places for P11. Jake Hughes now up to 10th. Sete Camera, that has got to come into the pits because the front wing is underneath the car. Bird changed his mind for attack mode. He decided he didn't want the lead. And he's dropped to 5th. That was... He's down to 6th now. There's a bit of debris again on the track, and there's going to be very tight. This race is wild.
Because nobody's effectively in the lead and trying to go flat out to pull away. Stoffel Van Dorn is now leading, Van Tinktum 2nd, Montana is 3rd, having taken that attack mode.
Now we have to look after Lear's well-being.
Actually, I think Mortara hasn't taken an attack mode in the end.
So Mortara hasn't taken attack mode. Van Dorn still has 3 minutes left. We've got a yellow flag.
We push and we go attack. We push and we go attack.
So Van Dorn being told to push and then activate your attack mode.
Oh, we've got a complete blockage. We've got... That's Rast and Sete Camera without a front wing really should have been in the pit lane. That is outrageous from the Neo 333 team. Rast also has the front wing stuck under his car. This cannot be acceptable. The car has to be called in. As Mortara now takes the lead.
To lead in 11 laps. Eduardo Mortara, who took pole position here in Berlin for both races last season, won one of them, finished 2nd in the other. He's gone from 11th to 1st here. There's a look to the inside from Buemi.
Going to send a tweet, but there's no point because it's just action everywhere. We've got slippery surface at turn 1. Must be some debris there. They're side by side like everywhere. Noah's arcing their way through the first corner, as in 2x2. Not in their pairs. Hughes and Da Costa have dropped a couple of places. Still got that yellow flag. Surely the debris is all over the track now. And there's a safety car. With Jake Dennis now in the lead. Well, what a start to this race. There's a front wing on the track. Mortara's already had 11 overtakes in 12 laps. That's incredible.
Yeah, but from a strategic point of view, the people who hadn't taken the attack mode would take it now because they would realise that this was...
Hello to WoHIV in the chat. I missed that with all the crazy action. Verline is really costing himself this championship by being out of the points consistently. Yes. Although he is now in the points. He's now 10th. But this race has got all sorts going on. Here's a replay. This is what happened to Sete Camera. He just catches the back of... That would probably be Gunther. That damages his front wing. And then he's stuck under the front left wheel. And he's still going.
in this E-Prix, and a lot still to happen. Dennis leading, Mortara second, Buemi third, Tictum fourth, Van Dorn fifth. So, Alan, okay, Dennis and Mortara still have an attack mode remaining, so has Evans, but we've never seen drivers using their attack mode so early in an E-Prix like we have today. Never.
No, usually you don't want to be the first through the attack mode because you lose too much of the time loss at the dirty part of the circuit. We can see there, Mortara 70%, 3% less than Dennis. So all of the places he's made up, he's used energy to do that.
Yeah, it comes at a cost. This is what happened with Rast. And
We're going to see a replay now of what happened to Rene Rast.
and I think we will see.
Oh, Rast has clipped Sete Camera, and then they've met in the middle of the corner.
The German onto the brake, doesn't look particularly close.
Just going to
Yeah, there you go.
do anything about it.
Clunk, and then second clunk.
Able to slow down at the same
Sete Camera's lucky to be going still because he's hit the front left wheel,
camera for
and he could have broken a steering arm there.
initial feeling was that it was partly his fault, but it was an innocent party, but still shouldn't necessarily have been out there with the front wing off the car.
And that is Rast, who is come back into the pits.
I'm eventually going to get this tweet out.
And he's back out on circuit.
There we go.
At the back of the safety car queue, lap 13 of 40. Ian James, the team principal at Leon McLaren. Hughes still running in 14th position. There's the safety car driven by Bruno Correa.
Very strong on energy, mate. Okay, consider Helsinki at the restart, okay?
Consider Helsinki at the restart.
Nice of you.
So let's have a look at the big movers. Da Costa is up 7 places. Mortara's up 9 places.
Safety car deployed in Berlin. Lap 13
That's
of
incredible for
40.
him. Bird is down 5,
Dennis is leading. Eduardo
but I think he
Mortara is
gave up
second.
the lead that
He's
he'd
third. And
taken.
Karun Chandok has thoughts and is in the pit lane. Karun.
Verline's up 5. Cassidy down 5.
What I was thinking about was what you and Alan were wondering in terms of why are they using attack mode early. And the only thing I can think of is this is a race which is going to be quite energy limited towards the end. The drivers have all said with the circuit layout and the number of laps, they are going to be tight for energy. And perhaps the teams and drivers are wondering that there's no point saving it to the end because they won't be able to take the benefit of more of the higher power mode, because the higher power mode uses more energy.
Yeah, and there you can see the energy remaining.
We've got energy numbers now. So Dennis, with the Porsche power unit, 72%. He's been sitting in the slipstream. He's in the lead at the moment behind the safety car.
They're all in a similar
Mortara has 4% less energy. Tictum also 4% less. But he was in the lead for a little while now. 69% for him. Buemi 71%.
Picking up on Karun there.
Dennis looking really good here actually. Green flag.
When you do have that extra energy, put temperature into the battery, and ultimately, historically, you could be battery temperature limited round here. Not with this new generation.
And Mortara is right on Dennis's tail. 2 drivers who went into the Berlin E-Prix 2 years ago with a chance of becoming the first ever world champion in Formula E. That actually went to Nick De Vries in the end.
fourth is the Neo.
Both those drivers failed to make it to the checkered flag though. As we restart,
After a safety car restart.
Mitch Evans still has 4 minutes of attack mode left.
Bunching it up.
But as Karun Chandok was just saying,
Jaguar in 6th and 7th.
most teams don't want the attack mode towards the end because it uses more energy and it's going to be an energy limited race.
Jaguar might be quite
And we're going to get added laps now.
Maybe, but I think Dennis and Mortara with that, with the attack mode that they still have in their pocket, I think what they'll do
There's
is
Van Dorn
build a little bit of a gap.
moving up to 4th place
From there is
ahead of Dan Tictum.
who always seems to be lurking. He maybe drops back for a reason, but he can always get his way back up to the front, looking very, very strong this afternoon.
Yeah, he overtakes Dan Tictum in the Neo and Mitch Evans.
Here comes Evans on the inside of Tictum. The Neo, I think Tictum is about to drop back down the order. So maybe a more natural position.
Wouldn't be surprised if Bird tries to follow through fairly swiftly as well. Another lap in the books. We might get added laps.
Fastest lap there for Jake Dennis.
Time is spent behind safety car as well. There goes Bird going past Tictum. So he's now up into 6th position. There he is. And
Both Jags now past Dan Tictum.
Tictum now
Bird up to 6th.
7th position. Verne 8th, Gunter 9th, Verline in 10th. Cassidy's one that we haven't really spoken about. Qualified 6th on the grid. And he's all the way back in 11th now.
Let's get back in the toe, mate. I'm over-consuming. Shoulders on the radar.
So Dennis saying, I want to get back in the toe. I don't want to be out front leading. So
There goes Dennis, going into attack mode.
and that'll drop him back into the pack. Just in between the two Jaguars. So Evans in 4th, Dennis in 5th, but he will have...
We've got an investigation, Sete Camera and Gunther, for causing a collision. That would only be Sete Camera, and, well, Sete Camera knocked off his own front wing, so, yeah. Well, Dennis is side by side with one of the Jags, that would be Sam Bird. Evans has got past Van Dorn, and they're very close. Van Dorn having a look around the outside. It's, oh, so close. And here comes Evans and Dennis. Can Dennis make a double overtake? He can. 2 for the price of 1 for Jay Dennis. And Bird round the outside of Van Dorn. And Tinktum's not done yet. He's having a look at the world champion on the outside of turn 4 there. Mortara now leads. Evans is up to 2nd. Mortara now takes attack mode. I'm not sure I can get through another 23 laps.
Still has both of his attack modes still to use. He's the only driver in the top 8 who's got both attack modes left, Mitch Evans.
Yeah, but also remember, in terms of energy, the last time we saw it, there was still a 2% delta where Jake Dennis was 2% better off than anybody else. Yeah, everybody else was there or thereabouts, and then another 2% down was Edo Mortara.
So interesting, you've got that middle pack, haven't you, on the graphic on the left. 9th to 17th have got all their attack modes remaining. The leaders barely have any, quite a lot of them.
There's a whole pack of cars. Verne down to Fenestraz haven't touched attack mode yet. It's the guys at the front who have felt the need to take attack mode. This is Van Dorn getting swallowed up by Dennis and then Bird.
At this point, Van Dorn's trying to get back in behind Bird so someone else doesn't follow through as well.
And there goes Evans.
Evans into attack mode. 3 minutes of attack mode, and Dennis tried to slow down and get everyone to go past him. But he does lead. Mortara is 2nd. Dennis leads whether he likes it or not. And they're side by side there. They're 4 abreast, 5 abreast. How are they all going to get through?
A little bit of touch there between Gunter and the rear of Sebastian Buemi.
Oh, there's contact! That's Verne and Andre Lotterer. And here comes the Envision. And everyone's going for the lead. Rene Rast has got a 5-second time penalty for causing a collision. No surprises there. And it is, to coin a Jack Nicholls phrase from Sao Paulo, it's a million for the lead. Dennis has still got the most energy out of anyone at the front, and they're 3 abreast behind the leaders. Cassidy going for attack mode. Buemi goes into the lead. Dennis is just allowing drivers past. This is the most bizarre style of racing you could possibly imagine, because no one wants to be in the lead. Not right now, at least. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Cassidy's got some damage as well. I think the timing is frozen. Seems alright here. Got double yellows.
Wow, that 20 of 40, so we are approaching half race distance. Gunter leading, Buemi 2nd. Gunter still has an attack mode remaining. Double yellow at turn
Oh, that's Stoffel Van Dorn.
And there's another car that's just off round the corner.
Oh my word! What has happened here?
There's a few cars.
Safety car. This will be a safety car, I'm sure.
Van Dorn is off. Don't know who else is in there just yet. But Stoffel Van Dorn.
Jake Hughes looks like he's involved. Safety car deployed.
I think that's a Neo. I think that's a Neo to the right hand side. It's Van Dorn, Tictum, Hughes, and Nato. Van Dorn, Tictum, Hughes, and Nato have all got in a kerfuffle, and the safety car is deployed.
Van Dorn, Tictum.
Exit at turn 3 and into turn 4, so it'll be
They
good
reckon
to see
Nato as well is involved.
We've got it, because that's taking Stoffel
I'll
Van
keep an eye on the live timing for you. For HIV does play up from time to time. Just give us a shout if it changes again. What I will do is, rather than have the timing up, I will have. Actually, I will get a pop-out chat, and then I can have the luxury of having the timing and the chat. Ticked him out of the race. He was going so well. So on board with Van Dorn. Everything's fine. Oh, ticked him with a nudge on. Oh no!
He just completely drives me into the wall.
There was a third car involved in that. Was it Jake Hughes?
Turning the wheel, but the wheels aren't connected. Stop. Valiant effort though.
Yeah, I think that'll be a discussion with the stewards after the race. And Dan Ticktum standing there contemplating what might have been, got to say, a very good qualifying from him, and also a feisty race up until that particular point.
I wonder if Stoffel will call him a plonker, or whether that's in his particular vocabulary. Stoffel, I'm not sure what his first language is. I think it's French, but.
Van Dorn's still discussing this with Ticktum. I think they.
My lip reading's not great, but
Yeah, I think Ticktum's just going to explain that he didn't see him in the mirror.
In that one,
Van Dorn's very frustrated, you can see.
when you're in the car and you're looking through your visor, you only see your little narrow view, and we've got a much better view of it than either of the drivers at the time.
Tictum seemed to maybe
I think there might have been an F thrown in there.
oversteer moment. We'll see whether that
Here we go from Tictum's on board.
So he's trying to go around the outside of the Porsches. That's his main focus. He tucks in behind Acosta. Oh, he's quite clearly there, isn't he? Oh.
Oh, wow, I just don't think Tictum's looked.
And then you see a part on the right-hand side as well that got caught into it, which I presume was Rennie Rash trying to avoid the scenario, but getting caught up in it in the end.
That's a toughie, really, because that is quite...
Here we go from behind. I think it's going to be Jake Hughes. There's the McLaren, who's going to get caught up in it.
That's when they wipe out Nato and Hughes.
Was it Hughes? Sorry.
Yeah, I think it was Hughes. But I think that's... Van Dorn looked far enough alongside to...
Van Dorn was certainly far enough alongside for space. Cassidy has come into the pit lane
No question.
now as well.
Cassidy in the pits.
We're going to have several
Cassidy in the pits.
laps of added time.
On the circuit.
So Nick Cassidy into the pit lane for Envision, and that is going to knock him well down the order.
Cassidy's race has just completely collapsed. He's down to, he's going to fall down to 18th here.
The second half of the race now, but there you can see on the right-hand side of that shot, Cassidy just leaving the pit lane. He's going to be right at the back, and that's big for the championship. Here's another view of this is Tictum at some other point up at the hairpin.
I think he's getting
Oh, that's how Cassidy lost his... Oh, and damage for Tictum as well. Cassidy hit the back of whoever was in front of him. I think it was one of the Jags.
puncture that Cassidy will have picked up.
Yeah, Cassidy, that's why he's in the pit lane, because he's got a puncture.
Puncture came from. He's been to the pits, changed the tyre, back out on the circuit again.
Yeah, just... Oh, he hits the
Another view
the
of
Maserati.
Damage to the Maserati of Gunter. And
That's Gunther being hit again as they crane away the two cars in the background of the shot there. Seti Camera's on 52% energy. Dennis 57, Buemi 56. Two Maseratis not looking so great on 53, while everyone else around them is at least 55. Verline and Da Costa, they've snuck their way up to 7th and 8th there, haven't they? Safety car in this lap. Let the chaos begin again.
He's looking mighty. The only thing for him is he's down in 7th, so he needs to creep his way forward to make sure that Buemi and Evans don't get away. Because Gunther and Matara are too low, they're too low, and so they will have to slow down.
So this was Evans going ahead of Sebastian Buemi, and so it was that when the safety car. I don't know. I didn't see.
Well, that was Evans taking the lead just before the safety car was called.
Safety car comes in. Mitch
And now the safety car is in. Green flag is out.
Evans being told Buemi's got more energy.
And we're racing again in Berlin. Maserati 3rd and 4th in a season where they've really struggled to score points.
Buemi's just going to sit in for a few laps. Pole position for Buemi. He's been quick all weekend, and he's been kind of anonymous since he let Dan Ticktum pass at the first corner.
That 23 of 40 in the Berlin E-Prix, round 7 of the ABB FIA Formula E World Championship. 2 races coming up this weekend, one now and one tomorrow. Myself, Jack Nichols, and Alan McNish with you. As
Evans immediately going for attack mode to sacrifice the lead. He drops back in between the two Maseratis in 3rd place.
The question is, he's got to try, I would think, to get past at least.
Verline's still got 4 minutes of attack mode left, as has Fenestraz. Bird goes past Mortara.
So it's now 3rd and 4th for the two Jaguars, Evans and Bird.
And now Jaguar occupy 3rd and 4th.
Let's keep an eye on him as well. Hasn't got a huge amount of energy compared to everyone else, but he's 7th and he's got all his attack mode still to use. Here comes Gunther for the lead.
Here comes Max Gunther. Can the German lead in Germany? Buemi will just allow him through, and there goes Evans. Little bit of contact.
Buemi holds 2nd place.
Buemi hangs on though. The Swiss, who was on pole position, fends off the Aussie who won the last race in Sao Paulo. Now you can see the damage as well on Gunther's Maserati, the front left. Oh, it's just flown off. And Bird with the dive bomb. Oh, Dennis! Late on the brakes. And he's still on the inside. He gets through. He takes 5th place. And there's the Maserati of Mortara doing a double send. He's got Dennis and Bird. Almost. But Bird's got the inside line for the final corner. Here comes Dennis. We're on board with him. Whoa! So close.
That team has not scored any points yet this season. There's a look to the inside as Buemi gets overtaken by both the Jaguars.
Both Jags go past Buemi. It's ever changing, this race. So glad I didn't make any predictions. Lotterer has a 5-second time penalty. We'll end the poll for who's going to win because basically no one will ever get it correct. Unless you just say someone. I would love to know how many different drivers have led this race.
Evans and Bird in 2nd and 3rd. In the Jaguar seats no longer. Evans to the inside into turn 9.
Evans now going for the lead.
And Evans in the lead.
But no one wants to be in the lead. No, don't be in the lead. Here comes Sam Bird. It's Jaguar 1 and 2. It's Maserati 3 and 4. Dennis and Buemi are just waiting in the background. And Buemi's going to ruin our Noah's Ark at the front by trying to get past Mortara, but I think he'll just If they give enough space, they'll get through there. You'll have to
But the two
concede.
Jaguars are now in front. Evans ahead of Bird. They've got more energy than the cars behind.
Buemi and Dennis
Here's a look
have
at
got
Evans
48% energy.
lead down into turn 9.
So they're in a good position. The Van Dorn-Tictum incident will be investigated after the race.
Use energy for both.
So they're going to do, the FIA are going to do what they didn't do for Carlos Sainz, as we see Mortara has got 14 overtakes. 4 drivers in double figures for overtakes in this race. Madness. So the FIA are going to give the drivers a chance to speak, which they didn't give to Carlos Sainz in Australia. As Buemi goes up to third. And Jaguar, again, looking really strong. They seem to have finally cracked it with this power unit and the car.
He's got to get these two Maseratis, and he knows it. Evans in the red. Andretti, full lunge, full send.
That's Dennis going down the inside.
Job done there. That was quite a feisty manoeuvre. I've got to say,
Had to make that because Buemi's made the moves. He doesn't want to get stuck behind the two Maseratis
Evans is up 8 places. Bird started second, then is running second.
because they are falling back from the lead trio.
Third position. Everybody's used
If I was Jaguar, I would be changing the lead every lap. A couple of drivers going for attack mode. That would be Lotterer. And it looks like Finistraz as well. Here comes Dennis. Down the inside on Max Gunther. Much better performance from Jake Dennis this weekend. Got himself into the duels in qualifying, which he said would be crucial. He said he could win from anywhere in the top 8 or top 10. And he's showing that the Porsche powertrain is still very, very strong. But the Jaguar seems to be just that little bit better at the moment, because they are, Jaguar Power occupy first, second and third. And 15th.
We've got more energy than the guys ahead. More energy than the guys ahead.
And that is Jake Dennis's race engineer on the radio, Sean McGill, telling him the news.
Still got 12 laps to go, plus added laps. So we're going to have maybe, what, 4, 5 added laps?
1.5 seconds quicker than Evans and Bird up ahead.
Buemi on the attack ahead of Bird. So Sebastian Buemi up into second place. There is the championship leader, Pascal Wehrlein, activating his final attack mode. So he'll be in extra power for the next 3 minutes. As they come flashing down, and Buemi wants the lead.
Buemi goes for the lead. The two Maseratis, oh, side by side, and that's going to allow Da Costa to go through. Dennis has lost 3 places.
The Maserati team are fuming by the looks, or stressed, one of the two. There was some kind of emotion there for James Ross.
Wehrlein also having a look at Dennis.
Dennis has been shuffled back in all of that in the red Andretti.
Well, I think it was because the two Maseratis were lunging each other, which then also lunged into Jake Dennis. And
We're gonna, oh, that was Da Costa down the inside. And they're just going for a walk on the outside of the track. And here comes Dennis.
In the Envision, the two Jaguars are now running second and third. Max Gunther is in fourth. Antonio Felix da Costa's in fifth. Dennis went from fourth down to sixth in that one moment. And if you're just tuning in and wondering why this is a fairly odd motor race, it's because the slipstream is so vital here that if you're in the tow, you use less energy. In the same way that in cycling, if you're in the tow of the cyclist in front, you're expending less energy pedaling the wheels. It's exactly the same theory. So no one wants to be in the lead, but you still want to be close enough to the front of the lead to be able to take the lead when there's 2 laps to go. Here's Dennis.
Maseratis losing our race.
Yeah, that would be my assessment as well. The Maserati is losing our race. Da Costa's up into 5th here in the Porsche. He's suddenly got in the mix.
He's still got an attack mode to take, though. Antonio Felix da Costa's still got 1 minute left to take on attack mode, and so he'll shuttle back down as Dennis is now making a move forward.
Dennis is going to have to do it all again on the Maseratis. There he goes.
And then worry about what energy he has consumed to do it later on.
At 30 or 40. Dennis up into
But
6th
sitting
place.
in the train,
Added laps. We'll find that out in a few laps' time. because
he's
of
managed to save so much energy, and that Porsche powertrain has been excellent in race trim. The Jags at the front will be trying to do the same thing.
Buemi happy to be in front. Dennis defending.
I think this race is anybody's, really. Anyone in the top 6 with... Well, by the time they do the added laps, anyone in the top 6 could probably win the race. As a Jaguar goes for the lead, that's Sam Bird, who decides he wants to have a turn at the front of the race. Da Costa going up to 4th, goes past Gunther. Dennis hoping that the Maseratis will disrupt the Porsche's race as they did to his. Verline now up to 7th, there he is. And Dennis going down the outside of Mortara, no, Gunther even. He's just not quite got the job done there. Gunther sent it and has managed to hang on to the position.
Already struggling on energy in comparison to the ones up ahead. So for Gunther, the fight is maybe for 4th or 5th. And right now he doesn't really care that Dennis has got more energy. And the more that Dennis fights with Gunther, the more energy he consumes and less his advantage gets away.
There's Dennis. Oh! Jake Dennis has blown it!
Dennis has thrown it into the barriers. How he didn't wipe out everybody else, I do not know. But Dennis...
He knew he needed to get through. And that is a shocking mistake.
What is that swerving under braking, man?
Well, Dennis complaining of the swerving under braking. Gunther does love a late defence. There's no denying that.
Wow. I mean,
Who's this? Did someone... Was it Da Costa? Did he get tagged?
Da Costa's into the pit lane. He got clipped by Dennis. He must have a puncture or some pretty hefty damage.
Strong climb up the field. Is now in the pits and out of the running. Dennis is going very...
Dennis is struggling. He's going to be 4 races with no points. And Verline somehow is 5th.
So, up at the front then, Sam Bird is leading, and don't forget, so now the 2nd place man in the championship, Jake Dennis, is not going to score for the 4th race in a row. The 3rd place man in the championship...
Da Costa's out of the race.
12th place. Da Costa, the 5th place man in the championship, is not going to score. The 4th place man in the championship, Jean-Eric Verne, is there in 4th position. The frustration for Antonio Felix Da Costa. And Verline, meanwhile, the championship leader... Thomas Loudenbach sort of reassuring.
I want to see a replay of that between Gunther and Dennis, because it'd be interesting to see what Gunther was doing.
He's just kept going, and he's going to rack up 10 points if he finishes 5th.
Yeah, but that's how you win championships on your back.
Here we go. On board, I'm guessing, with Dennis. Here we go. He goes. Oh.
Dennis releases the brake to make sure he goes down the inside. There's no grip at that point of the circuit.
Yeah. Gunther does move late, and then he's right in front. And Da Costa's got... Whoa!
Clobbered. Must have done the suspension as well on that front. Yeah, you can see the left hand is down on the steering wheel and the car's broken instantly.
Wow. There's nothing Da Costa could have done there.
Here he comes. Oh, he took evasive action, Da Costa, and it's so nearly worked out.
The Gunther and Dennis incident is under investigation. I'm not sure they can give Gunther a penalty for that, really. Dennis may be a grid drop because he ended up out of control, which would be really harsh on him. He drove a great race, but the Maseratis well and truly have stuffed his afternoon. The double dive bomb that forced him back down the order, and then Gunther there with some fairly questionable defensive driving. But we still have no idea who's going to win this race. 6 laps to go, including the one they're on. Bird leads, Buemi and Evans are behind. Gunther is still 4th. Verline is 5th somehow. Surely he can't win this race, can he, Verline? Surely not.
It's when to go. That's the challenge in Formula E, is when to go. Because Bird here...
Evans has got 26% energy.
So he's doing all right. There's Dennis.
There's Dennis out of the race. 4 races in a row with no points for the Englishman.
Sitting in the car for a couple of minutes since he got back to the pit lane.
Wow.
He's got to collect his thoughts in the best places when you're on
Here goes Buemi.
as we see Buemi having a little
Decides not to take the lead, or Bird doesn't let him.
to the first corner, not really a full attack, just a kind of half look. And these three, I think, will now start to pull away from Günther in 4th position, because they've got more energy and they've got more speed in general. Günther's been hanging on by using more energy.
Now we saw the deltas there on the left-hand side. The difference is Bird has almost a % less energy than Mitch Evans. So it's getting to the point now for Bird where does he want to have that much of a deficit, but also are we running out of time in this race that it doesn't actually become an issue? On board with Sebastian Buemi, running in 2nd place, chasing down Sam Bird, round 7 of the championship. Bird, Buemi and Evans, the top 3.
Tell you one driver I wouldn't rule out at this moment in time is 8th place Jean-Eric Vergne. I'm not saying to win this race, but to be in the top 4 or 5 at the end of it.
Across the line we go.
Verline has dropped back a little bit as Buemi goes for the lead. Verline is about a second behind Günther.
Gets ahead of Sam Bird.
He's still got that attack mode to take, I believe.
Jaguars 2nd and 3rd. Evans has made 6 places in this race. Verline has made 10. Great drive this from Pascal Verline.
This race has just been carnage. Cassidy was 18th at the safety car restart.
Not very much, but
And 16 overtakes. He's still 3 places lower than he started.
mistakes crashed into each other, and ultimately got himself in a good
Gunther and Mortara have got 13 and 15 overtakes respectively.
Efficiency and minimum turn 7.
So that's Connor Somerville, the race engineer of Buemi, saying, right, we've just got to be efficient. Now we're out in front. The Jaguars look like they're not exactly squabbling, but there's a little nose to the inside from Evans coming down into turn 6.
Well, Evans knows that from a championship point of view, he's got to finish ahead of Bird, because if he finishes behind them, that expands the point. And there is also, at the end of the day, only one of the Jaguars that can win the championship, and clearly both of them want to do it. Both have got the capability and the car to be able to do it, I think, this year.
A little bit wide from Bird there into turn 1.
Remember when
But Evans
Cassidy was at the back
doesn't
of the
go
field?
through, has a little bit more energy.
The man in 9th, you mean?
What is this? What is this series? I just love it. Lap 37 of 40. Buemi, Bird, Evans, Günther, Verline, the top 5. And we've had 8 different leaders in this
8 different
race,
leaders. There we go. New Formula E record.
which will probably get beaten.
Ask and you shall receive.
I'm just going to reverse my point on Jean-Eric Vergne, because his energy levels are pretty low at this moment in time.
Okay, so if you cannot hit your targets, be smart. We have
Lotterer has just got past Verline,
So we
which
have
is,
hit our target.
well, I say useful for Jake Dennis, but
Jaguars want to take the lead.
what would be more useful is if Verline broke down
Energy target
for
is
him.
so important, and you've just got to slow down to make sure you hit it. Even if you feel you can drive quicker, you've got to just make sure.
We're going to have 3
because then it
extra
multiplies
laps.
itself, the later on you get in the race.
Added laps wise, we've got another 3. An additional 3.
So at the moment we've got
As of now,
3 laps remaining of the 40. So 6 laps, we're back to 6 laps remaining, including this one that they're doing right now.
Nearly in one camera shot. Then after that big drop back to Muller, who's in 10th place. 1 point for that would be an absolute party central tonight in that garage, I'm sure.
onto the brakes into turn 6. Buemi leading.
And this is the point where the pressure starts to mount. When do you choose to take the lead and try and break away?
It's nice and easy and tidy. You know, Sam's been very quick and very consistent.
Gunther possibly is just about in contention. I would say everyone from Lotterer backwards probably won't have a shot at winning this.
Confidence drivers, because it makes them sort of sound, you know, like not
Gaps are
meant
just a
to
little
be
bit too big now.
What's the situation? Can I attack or not?
Well, Evans asking, can I attack or not? The answer is the thing we need to know. And down towards turn 1 again. But yeah,
Bird. Oh, Evans! Almost returning the favour from Hyderabad.
He's in the mood. And he has been in the
Evans
mood all weekend.
on the radio wants to win.
Just make them aware. Okay,
Evans is feeling good and he's got more energy than Bird, but only a fraction more. Gunter is still lurking there in 4th position. Oh, here we go.
Buemi defending into turn 6 as Bird looks for the lead. He's going to get it on the switchback, is he? No, not quite.
No.
Defending again there. Sebastian Buemi defending quite heavily into 6 and also into 7. Obviously doesn't want to lose the lead.
Bird down the inside as Evans just goes for the pair of them.
Easy run round the outside of Sam Bird.
And they're side by side, the two Jaguars. Mitch Evans takes 2nd place. And here comes Bird having a look around the outside again. Gunther's now back in, solidly back in contention to get the win. Here goes Evans down the inside. He takes the lead.
Very clear statement there, but Gunther also has recovered a lot of the energy as well. He's only 1% down now on the cars up ahead of him. So he's done a very good job as Evans has taken 2 cars in 3 corners. Now he's in the lead, now he's in the position.
Is this Evans going for the win now? Is this the moment?
Now I'm going to do it, whatever happens.
Bird still behind Buemi, and both Jaguars have more energy than the Envision. Verline takes attack mode. And he drops down to 9th. Evans is going for it. He's pulling away from Buemi, and Bird hasn't gone with them. Or with him. Cassidy now back up to 6th. What is this race?
And he's ahead of Verline, so that would chip away at Verline's championship lead as well from 2nd to 1st. Lap 41 and 43, the added laps have been added.
Just a reminder, Andre Lauter there in 5th place in the red car. He's got a 5-second penalty added at the end of the race, so he's not really in the battle, even though I'm sure he's not going to give up the position.
No, exactly. He's 7/10 back from Gunter Lotterer, and the higher up the order he finishes, the better his result is.
Yeah, pulls him back into the area around about Pascal Verline, actually, if you add the 5 seconds now.
So there's the energy remaining.
So I think Jake Dennis is actually back in the race.
Only Bird and Gunter have a little more.
He's still circulating. I think he's just on the fastest lap.
Able to be close enough. Whoa, and he's so late on the brakes into 9.
Bird is deep into turn 9. Yeah, there you go, Dennis doing the fastest lap.
At the end of this one. And he's got to make that move. It was very decisive by Evans into the first corner when he overtook Buemi. There was no
He's 5 laps down.
And that's exactly what Sam Bird's got to do.
At the front, Evans is gapping Buemi.
Buemi 2nd, Bird 3rd. The top 3 separated by just 1.3 seconds with 2 laps to go. Gunter is sitting here in 4th position.
And they've all got 5% of energy.
Podium up ahead of him. How aggressive is he going to get? How aggressive is Bird going to get in that fight for 2nd place? Because he was happy to finish 3rd with Evans winning last time out in Sao Paulo. Not sure he'll be quite as satisfied this time around.
Yeah, but you know for sure Buemi's going to defend like anything on this 2nd to last lap and also in the final lap, and that's allowing Evans just to eke away, and also without using.
Look at the gap that Evans has got now. Buemi having to defend again against Bird.
I think we're into the stage now of the race where actually the energy has become irrelevant. We're flat out now. So if Bird wants to make the overtake on Buemi, it's got to be a proper
Look at the gap that Evans has got. He has made the break for it. Bird still can't get past Buemi.
Jaguar desperately would love a 1-2. At the moment it's a 1-3 in the same order as Sao Paulo 3 weeks ago. But Bird is going to get the drive out here.
Yeah, it's Evans has now got away, and that means that basically there's 2 more corners for Sam Bird to be able to get it done.
Look at the run that Bird's got. Look at that. He just sails past. Can he get it stopped? Just. It's going to be so close. And Buemi has to concede. Evans is less than 1% energy. He's now 1% energy. And Jaguar are set for a 1-2 finish.
But up at the front, into the final corner comes Mitch
And
Evans. Oh,
Buemi has lost third place. And there's contact.
and they're still going to be together. But it's
And Mitch Evans,
wins two.
he wins.
Victory in Berlin.
And it's a 1-2 for Jaguar. Gunther takes third.
Buemi
And Cassidy is fifth.
and Verline at the line.
Verline sixth.
Got 2 places right at the end. Pascal Verline.
My goodness, Andre Lauter.
Incredible race.
To 8th place, 7th is Jean-Eric Verne, Mortara in 9th, and then Oliver Rowland.
Look at the celebrations here in the Jaguar garage.
Weekend in 10th, but it was all about
Wow.
the guys here. 1-2.
Jag are back.
They're-
Jag are back.
It's their first 1-2. They've been close at the last one, didn't quite make it.
Jaguar's first ever 1-2 in Formula E. What an incredible race. Mitch Evans wins, Sam Bird is second, Gunther Maserati takes third. I think that is Maserati's first points of the season.
On the in-lap now.
Let's have a look.
A really, really strong drive from Evans. The race winner in Berlin. A track
No.
that he has
Maserati had 3 points.
he's come here in the past,
Abt
but a lot
had failed to score.
today, I would have thought.
But with Da Costa being wiped out by Dennis, this is huge for Jaguar in the team's championship as well.
Speak to Mitch Evans as he's coming around on his in-lap now after a superb performance.
Which I realise you can't see any of this because of the way I've got the scene set up. So we'll switch. Wow, what an incredible E-Prix that was. We didn't know who was going to win until very, very close to the end. Mitch Evans has eventually won, but we had a record 8 changes of the lead. We had collisions between Van Dorn and Ticktum. They had a few words after they got out of the car. Jake Dennis lost control after being cheesed off basically with the Maseratis. He ended up wiping out Da Costa, who was looking pretty good. Through all of it, Verline has come from 15th to finish 6th, and he's extended his lead over Dennis, and he's really not done very much to do it. He's just kept his car in one piece and got to the flag, which that is exactly how you win a championship. But for Jaguar, their first ever 1-2, Mitch Evans leading home Sam Bird, Evans with back-to-back victories. If he goes and makes it 3 in a row tomorrow, he is absolutely in contention for the Formula E World Championship.
Yeah, we kept our heads cool. Drivers just executed the race brilliantly with their engineering team. So honestly, hugely proud of everyone. It's a really deserved result, and glad we finally got that first one too.
Talk to me about the calls from the pits, because nobody wanted to lead that race. It was pretty clear that there was lots of gamesmanship going on there. But at what point did you say to Mitch to go? Because Sam was in the lead for a period of time. But clearly, did Mitch make a decision to go, or did you guys make that call?
No, clearly working together as a team and working out the best time to go. It was very difficult to kind of time it just right as well. So we're just waiting for what we felt the right moment. We could tell Mitch was actually in a really strong position. He felt positive, as did Sam. But at one point we just knew Mitch, and we could sense he was slightly up on energy.
That was a
for a while.
incredible race. I'm going to give it
Right, we thought, let's try and see if we can make that break.
9 out of 10 because
But what a race! I mean, strategically,
it was just wild. But if anything, it was a little bit too wild because there's so many moving parts. No one wanted to win, be in the lead, so it was a bit too dramatic, and you didn't have necessarily a head-to-head through the race. So that would have been like the perfect race. But incredible! This season of Formula E just keeps on giving exciting races. That's 7 races that have been very interesting, and the last 4 have all been absolutely fantastic.
Didn't have any monitor you, 'cause every time they came past you, it'd be like a complete shuffling.
So in the comments, what I would love is your race ratings for that, and then we can do it all again tomorrow. So similar time, about a 1:45, 10 to 2 start UK time. I'll be here. Hope you are too. Of course, give a thumbs up to the video if you enjoy it. Subscribe for more Grand Prix content. I'm going to go and rest my voice because I've got a really sore throat now because it was just too exciting. And thanks very much for joining me, everybody. I hope you have a lovely Saturday evening. And I'll see you tomorrow for round 8 and more Formula E carnage. It's bye for now.
Driver of the race on 21%. I'll be honest with you, I'm a little bit worried. That when I spoke to Evans on the radio, it meant he didn't go to the right place where the podium is. I could be wrong, but I'm a little bit worried that happened. If so, I'm very apologetic. But we'll see. The